YouTube, it is James.Cubes, and today we are going to be doing some processing. So, on the start of processing, you always want to open it and wait for it to load. Once it loads, then it's going to create a new sketch. Whatever you do with the new sketch, you're going to click Command-Shift-S. And this will allow you to save your processing sketch. And we are going to save it as first sketch. Now, processing will always replace spaces with that. So, use camo casing, which is where, instead of not using spaces at all, capitalize the first letter of every word. So now we have our first sketch. Now, in processing, we need to learn a few basic things. So, this is the run function, or run button. This is the stop button. These are the tabs, which we will get into later. This is the variable list. This is the modes. I have Android mode installed. So, whenever we write processing code, we are going to write it either in a class or a function or a variable. But first off, how do we write a function? So, we need to, if you type // so how do we write a function? You write void. That's something I will get into later. That has something to do with the return type, then what the function is. So, what do we want our function to do? Well, we want it to set up the code. Now, in this case, there is a function called the setup that is written like this. So we write void setup, open, close parentheses, and then we do curly braces, and we put all our code in the curly braces. Now, this will run all once. Now, if that's just gonna set it up, what if we want to run code over and over again, changing it every little bit? So that would be something we could use for animation, and there are so many possibilities. So we do that. It's called draw. So draw because you can draw things with it. So it's same format. And this, anything in here belongs to setup. So when we run our program now, we see we have our setup. But why is it so small? What if we want to adjust that? Then we can type size, and everything goes in parentheses. So we'll write size, or width, and height. These are the typical width and height. Now, why is it giving us an error? Now, whenever you write code, you're going to use semicolons for your command lines. In other words, whenever you write something, you need to edit with a semicolon. Now, why don't we use that for functions? Well, we can, but it is not required. I'm pretty sure when you have curly braces, you don't need semicolons if it uses curly braces. So, parentheses, parentheses, or command line use a semicolon. Curly braces, or just curly braces, don't use it. That's the only time you shouldn't use it. And when there's random parentheses in things. So, if we have our width and our height now, we can run our program to see this is what we do. So what if we want to draw something on the screen? So if we want to draw a circle, well, we can't just type circle, and we know we have to use a parentheses. It's still giving us an error. Well, the function circle does not exist. So why does it exist? Well, programming you can think of as a really obedient dog. And what you do is you can tell it commands. So you can tell it what to do in commands. And it only knows certain commands, so you can either teach it by creating a custom function like that, or you could use its already known functions, like so. So if we want to draw a circle or an oval, we will do an ellipse, which is the keyword. Then we will do, since the command line will use parentheses automatically, we should know to use ended parentheses. And we should do, now it says the function ellipse expresses parameters like ellipse, float, 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 float. Now, what is a float? A float is a number with a decimal or without a decimal, so any number. So what does each one do? So let's experience with these numbers. Let's start off by putting all in 100. Well, we get a circle right there. Weird. So what if we do this? 200. Well, it's further on the x-axis, so we know that the first one will control the x-axis. Well, it's most likely. Now let's test the second one. It appears to control the y-axis. How about the third one? Well, since this is an ellipse, not just a circle, it appears to affect both the y-axis and the length and the width. Well, we have to remember, where is our x-axis? Our x-axis is at 100. So if we run this, does our x-axis should stay at 100, right? Well, this is 100, right at the center. So what you could say is ellipse mode. That would be complicated. You could say this is going to be the center of the circle, so it's the center. This is going to be the width of the circle from the center, not adding, just dividing by 2 and centering it. And, well, then this is going to be the height, right? Yeah. See? So those are parameters for ellipse. So what if we want to draw a rectangle? Well, once again, we can't just say rectangle. We need to learn rectangle. Oops. Rectangle. Right? No, we can't do that. Why? Because rectangle is not a keyword. So what's the keyword for rectangle? Rect. So add parentheses and a semicolon, and it expects floats. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what the parameters for this one are. So our first one is going to be 100. Well, we'll demonstrate 100, 100, 50, 50, 50. And we'll show you what that does. So what's 100, 100? So here's, considering our x and y is this is x, this is y going, so the greater the y, the lower down, the greater the x, the further out. So we could translate that using translate function, but this is 100, 100, right? So that matches our x and y. So this is 50 out here, this is 50 down here, and it knows where to put that there. So it's drawing at our X and Y for the top left corner, and then our width and height. So anyways, I will see you in the next video, and that should be uploaded sometime today. So, bye.